Okay, so Craig, you fairly recently joined Exabeam as Global Channel Chief. And for those folks who don't know you, or even those who do, it'd be good maybe just to have a little reminder as to where you've been in terms of your journey before arriving at Exabeam. It'd be good to understand that.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for having us on. James and I are very excited to be on here. So for those of you that I do not know, I'm Craig Patterson, new Global Channel Chief at Exabeam. And I've spent almost my entire career within the channel space. So prior to Exabeam, I led global channels at Ariaka. Ariaka was in the unified SASE as a service space, which really is the convergence between networking and security. So led global channels there for about 3.5 years. I'd say the biggest accomplishment there is driving substantial growth. We grew the channel organization and sales about 34% year over year. So very proud of the work we did there. And prior to that, I spent about 18 years leading channel strategy for Lumen and was able to help them, build the first ever global channel program across Europe and Asia as well. So excited around that. And as it relates to Exabeam, excited to lead our strategy here. We've got channels that operate really all around the globe. We've got 1,051 global partners spread throughout North America, Europe, IMETA, which is a very important region for us, and also Asia. So that's me.
Okay, yeah. And in terms, I guess the next obvious question would be, why the decision, and what led you to decide to come on board at Exabeam? What was it that attracted you to the company?
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate the question. Obviously, it's something you look very hard at when new opportunities are presented. This one stood out for a number of reasons. Me being a channel guy, James being a channel guy, the fact that our company is 100% focused around channel as it relates to our go-to-market, the fact that we're channel-centric, all sales go through channel, that's music to my ears, right? Being a channel guy. The second thing is what I look at is, the leadership, have the leaders that are, running the company, have they had success in the past? And the answer is yes. Chris O'Malley is a great leader, visionary leader, has, significant track record of success. And then Pete Harteveld, the CRO here, is somebody I had a prior relationship with. Great leader, unbelievable, operator in terms of the revenue side. So felt like the leadership was really, really good. Then you look at product innovation. Philip, the one thing we're very proud of here at Exabeam is 26 months of continued innovation. So we stand behind our product. We're always looking for ways to continue to innovate, across the industry. And then you look at the leadership, the fact that we are a leader as it relates to Gartner, the fact we've been a Magic Quadrant leader for many, many years, really goes a long way, when you're a channel leader in terms of, developing a value proposition. So I'd say those are the primary reasons why I joined here.
And I'm guessing you, in addition to that, you also see an opportunity to help grow, develop your, the channel strategy, partnerships, etc. Just your thoughts, I guess, as to how you see that, that opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think it's an unbelievable opportunity, Philip. When you look at the fact that, both Logarithm and Exabeam were leaders in their domain, the fact that Logarithm was a leader from an on-premise perspective, and now you couple that with Exabeam, leader in the cloud, we get to bring the best of both worlds together. It creates an unbelievable opportunity. So quite honestly, that was really the thesis, right? When you look at the strategic merger that took place between our organizations, we felt that by bringing the two together, we'd really present, an unbelievable opportunity for partners on both sides to grow, right? Give a path to the cloud to the partners that have, historically focused on-prem, and then the ones that have sort of always been in the cloud. But guess what? Now they have the opportunity of selling on-premise based solutions. So we absolutely believe, there's tremendous room for growth. What we're working on right now is we're rebuilding what I call the Exabeam 2.0 channel strategy. So over the course of the next quarter or so, we're going to be going back through developing our new value proposition, making sure we have our routes to market completely sorted out, and then really building the fundamental building blocks in terms of our partner foundation with our value proposition, our ideal partner profile, our incentives, our enablement, our training, our marketing, really making sure we're getting those building blocks in place. So when we come back to market in the April, May timeframe, we're going to come back as an absolute disruptor in the space to gain as much market share as we possibly can. So excited in terms of where we're going to be headed.
Okay, and maybe moving on to the technology the company's got, be good to understand. I think there was a fairly recent launch of the Logarithm Intelligence Copilot solution, if I got that right. So it'd be good to understand if someone can tell us a bit more about that and how you think that's going to help deliver value again to your channel partners as a new offering.
Yeah, so this is something we're very excited about. We just launched this in January. So you think about the new scale platform that's coming out and some of the enhancements with Copilot. So really, this is designed to really enhance threat detection and response capabilities, Philip. So it really integrates, analytics, machine learning, and automation to provide those insights into security events. So when you think about this platform, it's really about customization in terms of the dashboards and how they're created, all the reporting that's necessary for those analysts, and threat hunters, and then provides, obviously integration into the existing security infrastructure. So very excited around the new Copilot launch. Anything to add there?
No, I think I would add that it's also a bridge for some of our customers. So if you think about Logarithm SIEM, it's an on-prem delivered solution. And we're offering them the ability to use some of the more advanced capabilities around threat detection and some of the user-based analytics that Exabeam was incredibly good at, and deliver that back into the LR SIEM console seamlessly. So it allows the customers a bridge to where we are going as an organization. So it's really exciting. And for those customers that haven't been able to adopt some of that technology, it offers them some improved capabilities that they can only get by leveraging that technology.
Okay, and one other fairly recent development, I think, is you've embraced the open API standards. So just be good to understand how significant that is as a development for yourselves and again for customers.
Yeah, so this came out with the most recent launch in January with the new scale platform. I'd obviously encourage y'all to continue to look for our updates as we continue to add new innovation every single month and quarter. But you think about the platform and the ability to have the open API standard. I mean, this really allows for seamless integration, fill up across a number of different security tools, enabling the teams to really build those workflows and automations efficiently. And so you kind of look at the way this helps standardize security tools and how they communicate, and facilitate faster and more accurate threat detection and response. We think this is definitely going to be one of the things that helps separate us in the marketplace. Anything you'd add there?
Yeah, again, most SIEM tools, the idea is that you can get as much of the context and information from various different log sources. Exabeam and Logarithm have always been very good at that. I think this just adds more fuel to that and allows customers flexibility in how they bring in those log sources to then allow us to be able to analyze them and provide some insight into what's going on in their environment.
Okay, and in terms of the major security challenges, I mean, there's the usual suspects, shall we say, but in terms of what's looming large in 2025, maybe AI, it would be right to say AI is perhaps the main and one of the newest areas. And I think there's a sort of growing idea that zero trust for AI is potentially the way forward to address threats in this area. So just your thoughts am I right? Is AI the new sort of problem out there, and also zero trust for AI? Is that a good way of trying to address the problems that it's potentially creating?
Yeah, no, this is the problem that every organization out there really faces, right? Because there's AI for good and there's AI for bad, right? And it's really the balance between those two threats, right? People using it for good and people using it for bad. So when you think about all the sophistication that's going on with AI today and the new emerging, deep fakes and AI driven phishing and autonomous malware, AI is definitely creating some challenges for us. And so when you look at the framework most organizations are adopting, it's really around that zero trust for AI. And James, I think can kind of walk you through some of the key.
Yeah, I'd add a look. You only have to look at the recent headlines. Let's take the DeepSeek one from a couple of weeks ago. AI is everywhere, and organizations are trying to embrace ways to use it that are going to be able to help them develop their business, but also help them secure their business, because those tools are in the hands of everybody globally. And like Craig said, they can be used for good or they can be used for bad. And if you're not looking at ways to use those in your organization, your competitors are, and your adversaries are. So you have to find a way to embrace it. The other thing I would say is that those tools, whilst they're openly available for anybody really who's got internet access, the controls around them and the ability to get log information about what's happening in those tools is really very limited. So I think that you have to take the approach of partnering with a tool set that can help you do that. At Exabeam, we've embraced an integration into various different AI protecting type technologies. Particularly here, we use Nightfall AI, and that allows us to then bring in logs into our platform that will alert you to whether there's what information is going into and out of those tools, because you need to be able to see that to then make judgment calls about whether that activity is good or bad from a compliance and from a controls point of view. And then you come back to what Exabeam has done historically really very well over the years, which is the ability to baseline what's normal and abnormal. And through getting those log sources in, you can then start to build up a picture of what is good and normal usage of tools like OpenAI, ChatGPT. And then by analyzing that behavior, you can then start to see what's, when something is anomalous or when something looks not right, and then you can start to apply some controls based off the back of that intelligence.
Okay, and just on a slight, well, probably related, Craig, you mentioned deep fakes. I guess that's a sort of subset of AI, if we can call it that. And they're, I think, predicted to, I mean, they're already a major problem, I know, but predicted to become even more of a problem. Is there a particular way or, to deal with that, or is the industry still getting to grips with how to specifically address that situation, I guess? You have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a fascinating subject when you think about, how AI is rapidly, changing the security landscape and, new threats are emerging. Like, think about it, Phil, like back in the, recently we were dealing with basic phishing type emails where people were, sending emails that you kind of looked like they came from a valid source and you could kind of quickly skim that email and figure out if it's real or not. And now it's gone from that to where people are impersonating people on Zoom calls and doing these deep fakes. And so like the whole world should be terrified in terms of the bad actors out there that are using deep fakes to compromise organizations. And you think about like a recent use case, right, where there was an organization that, a CFO was tricked into wiring large sums of money because of a deep fake on a Zoom call. And I think it was something to the tune of like $5 million that they transferred. And so when you think about, the notion of deep fakes and how terrifying that is, organizations really need to adopt those analytics around, user and entity behavioral analytics to help, look for these types of a normal behavior within an organization. And so, I mean, James, you could probably speak more on that.
Yeah, so I'd add, look, deep fakes, whilst they are terrifying, they are an evolution of what has been going on for years, right? It started with email, and then it's malware, and now it's deep fakes. what the intention of those bad actors is to get you as a user to do something that will compromise you, either give away credentials or wire some money in Craig's example, or allow access to your internal networks. And I think the same basic principles of security should apply, which are you need to really do the best you can to understand, firstly, who are you talking to? How did this conversation come about? Did it come about through the usual sources, or was it some different circumstance which it came about from? And educate your users about being vigilant in those scenarios. And then when it comes to the deepfake itself, we've actually got some recent experience. There's an article that our CISO did about an applicant for a role in our product management teams, and that applicant was using a deepfake technology to be able to get a role within our organization. And how we spotted that was, again, basic principles of being vigilant, which were, the syncing on the lips to the voice were not quite how they should be. The reaction to questions about things in the environment wasn't really very good. So they asked them about a picture or an image in the background, and just trying to get that context back of what's going on in on that deepfake. And we were able to spot it. But again, I'll come back to the principle that this is just a way for somebody to get your users to do something they shouldn't do. So then at some point, one of those will be successful. And it's about having the controls in place behind that allow you, as Craig said, to spot whether your user is doing something anomalous, like giving away credentials, or they're behaving in a different way that they would do normally. And that's what Exabeam has been known for many, many years, is the ability to be able to spot that anomalous behavior that happens post something like a deep fake, or whether it's response to an email or any other way that an organization may become compromised. Ultimately, it's about getting access and keys to your network. And those basic principles don't change whether it's deep fake or email. It's just a new way of being able to be able to trick users into doing something they shouldn't.
So bearing in mind some things we talked about, I guess AI being the main one, it'd be good to understand, as far as you're able to share, the Exabeam roadmap. I mean, are you developing tools within the SIEM portfolio to address some of the things we talked about, or other things? Just what it is you're able to share in terms of developing the business over the next sort of 12 or 18 months would be good to understand.
Sure. I'll start with our history, right? I mentioned it a few times, but we were using AI before AI was a buzzword. For 8-9 years now, Exabeam's been using machine learning, which is the ability for us to spot deviations from normal behavior. And we've been doing that for many, many years. We're a pioneer in that space. And then more recently, with the advent of LLMs, we've been able to use some of that capability to provide assistance within the platform to be able to help analysts be faster at responding to alerts, be able to query a Copilot-like tool that will allow them to get more context and information about the activity that's going on in their environment. And that is really as a helper. Where we see the future is more about becoming a little bit more proactive, because if you think about that, it's more of a reactive response. You're waiting for a user to query it. We want to get to more of a proactive stance around the use of agentic AI, which allows us to have done most of the investigation in the background and present the user with, this is the conclusion I've come to. Do you want me to execute the change or control that will allow you to be able to really reduce your mean time to respond or mean time to detect any kind of activity? And for us, that's really super important. So it's agentic from a analyst or a security engineer point of view. And then we're also looking at ways in which we can become a bit more of an advisor around the platform. So we have a capability within our platform called Outcomes Navigator, which looks at all of the data you're bringing it in and can give you a score of how well you're doing against a particular use case mapped to MITRE. So maybe it's data exfiltration you're worried about, and we can say, based on the log sources that you've coming in, here's your score and here's some improvements you can make. Again, at the moment, that is very user has to go and request that kind of information. We would like to get to a position where we can recommend some of the changes ahead of the user having to come in and say, hey, your security posture, if you're looking particularly at data for exfiltration, maybe if you give us these log sources, we can improve you by this amount. And that becomes a more proactive stance. And that's where Exabeam as a joint organization are going, that we want to be using tools like that to be able to allow security operations teams to be more proactive in their stance around security.
Okay, it's been fascinating to chat, and obviously, Craig, wish you well in your new role, and
Thank you.
interesting to see how that goes. And James, thanks for sharing the insights, and yes, maybe in the second half we can catch up, see where you're at. But for now, at least, appreciate your time, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Philip. Bye.